day, everyone. Our topic for today is direct method. Direct method has one very basic rule. No transition is allowed. In fact, the direct method receives its name from the fact that meaning is to be conveyed directly in the target language through the use of demonstration and visual aids with no resources to the student native language. What is direct method? The method of teaching foreign language without the use of mother language. The use in teaching foreign language refrain from using the learner's native language and uses only the target language. It only uses target language to teach target language. The direct method was the one outcome of reaction against the grammar translation method. It was based on the assumption that the learner of a foreign language should think directly in the target language. Accordingly to this method, English is taught through English. It is also called natural language because of its learner did not use native language. The direct method is also known as natural method. It was developed as a reaction to the grammar translation method and is designed to take the learner into the domain of the target language in the most natural manner. Contents of direct method. First, we have background. Second is principle and techniques. Third is role of the teacher and students. Fourth is advantage and disadvantage. First, we have background. Founded by Francois Gouin in 1860, he observed hundreds of French students learning a foreign language and concluded that learning a foreign language should be in the same way by which people learn their language or their first language. It aims to use the target language to communicate with daily words. Grammar is taught inductively, in which students discover the rules. It is to make up with the grammar translation method, which emphasizes reading and writing, fixed rules for sentence pattern, and grammar and translation skills. So in DM, no translation, no native language, but with meaningful context, realia, pictures, visual aids, demonstration, and dramatization to help the students learn words, proposition, grammar of the target language. Second is principles and techniques. First, we have the principle. No translate, but demonstrate. Second principle is never explain, but to act. The third principle is never make a speech but ask questions. The fourth principle is native speaker to deliver teaching for correct pronunciation and better oral skills. So, in short, that these four principles students can learn by doing or by their experience. Because some students, they much better to learn by doing or experiencing the given situation. The principles are still followed in contemporary school. Never translate, but to demonstrate. Never explain, but to act. Never make a speech, ask questions. Never imitate mistakes, but to correct. Never speak with single words, but use a sentence. Never speak too much, but make students speak much. Never use the book, use your lesson plan. Never jump around, follow your plan. Never go too fast, keep the pace of student. Never speak too slowly, speak normally. Never speak too quickly. Speak naturally. Never speak too loudly. Speak naturally. Never be patient. Take it easy. Next is techniques. Paragraph writing. The teacher asks students to write a paragraph in their own words. The student can do this from their memory. They can use reading passages in a lesson as a model. The same techniques of paragraph can be applied to any other topics. Next is conversation practice. For communication purposes, teaching contains conversational activities, starting with questions in the target language which contain a certain grammar structure. Then let the student ask questions with each other with the same sentence pattern. Finally, let student have free talk. Next is getting student to self-correct. A teacher might supply repeat what a student has just said using a questioning. A teacher must repeat what the student said, stopping before the error. The student knows that the next word was wrong. Fill in the blank exercises. Students are given series of sentences with words missing. They fill in the blank with new vocabulary item only from the target language. Next is dictation. The teacher reads the passage 3 times. The first time, the teacher reads it at a normal speed, while the student only listens. The second time, he reads it phrase by phrase to allow students write down what they hear. The last time, the teacher again reads at a normal speed and checks students' work. Next is map drawing. The students are given a map with geographical features and name. The teacher gives direction to the students. The student can have completely labeled map if they follow his instruction correct.
Rules of the students. First is students are less passive as compared to GTM or grammar translation method. It is because students in direct method way of teaching has a certain goal to achieve or has a focus, and that is the target language should be connected directly with the target language without translation into the native language. Second is they think and speak in the target language. It is because they only uses target language to speak the target language, none other than any language. They focus on only one language which they consider as the target language, and that is the English language. Third is they try to speak as much as possible because it will help them to have a better skills and fluency in that certain language and to become better user of it. And lastly is they learn how to ask a question as well as answer them. Students will learn how to ask questions regarding certain things as well as to answer them because they already have the skills, intelligence, and confidence to seek answers of a certain questions. Next, we have these following rules of the teacher. First is the teacher role is quite active because in this method, this is more on teacher-centered teaching because the teacher is the one to initiate the speaking while the while the students will follow or imitate what the teachers do and speak. Second is he or she directs all the classroom activities. And as what I have said earlier, that this teacher has more authority in this method because the teacher will the one to facilitate all the activities in this method. Third is ask minimum questions and answers. The teacher will do this because in order to find out if the students learned or not, or if the learners has already the awareness and knowledge of the lesson or none. But the teacher also keep in mind to ask minimum questions only because the focus of this method is not question and answer portion but speaking the target language more. And lastly is he or she uses sentences instead of words and makes students speak much. It is because to avoid confusions to the students of what is the meaning of that words, but rather give them the complete sentences in order to understand them fastly the meaning of it, and the teacher should always let their students speak more to enhance more their speaking skills. And we have the advantages. So let students learn the correct pronunciation and better oral skills because no native language is used and communication is main activity in the class. Whereas students' enterprising spirits and the teachers speaking the target language fluently are required. This is very understandable. And to make it simple, let students learn the correct pronunciation and better oral skills while the teacher is required only to teach the target language fluently. And we also have the disadvantages. First is students may be afraid of asking questions. Yes, it is given that, and we are all aware that the students are afraid to ask questions because of different reasons. But as a future teachers, we should seek and implement environment to them to speak and ask freely most of the time. Second is, it's hard to practice the methods in a class with more than 20 students. It needs a great amount of teachers. It is because we can focus to teach students more if they are not too crowded or has many numbers of students. But honestly and truthfully, we can choose our future learners and how many of them, and that is one of our challenges in the future. And what we should do is to become flexible and resourceful in the future. Lastly is, it's hard to explain abstract words. It is given because abstract words are hard and difficult to explain, especially to those learners that has a limited knowledge and are difficult to deal with. Next, we have the summary. First is, no method of teaching a target language is absolute rather than contextual. It is very obvious and given because every method of teaching is different to each other, and it is absolute rather than contextual, and we already know that what contextual is. So second is, a good teacher can reap maximum activities from carefully handling the direct method. Yes, a good teacher can gather maximum advantages in this method depending on how or she handle this kind of method and on how or she carefully handle it. Last is, the complete detachment from mother tongue is almost impossible. Yes, even if we teach another language which is our target language that is different from their language, we can't really set aside the fact that we can't really detach their native language completely. So, lastly, we have our conclusion. First is language learning should be of use. Yes, of course, because what is the use or the purpose of teaching and learning if we can't use the languages that we learn? Second is good for the class of small size. Yes, this method is very effective if the amount of the learners are small and as what I had said earlier that we can focus more on teaching if there are small amount of learners than to those crowded ones. We can give them more of our focus and attentions in teaching if they are small amount. And lastly is culture should be taught about people's daily lives. Yes, it is included because whatever we teach them, we should always consider their different cultures in order for us not to disrespect their culture and beliefs, but rather to show them that we also consider and respect their differences, and one of that is their culture.